This is a neuron represented by a Nerf gun. The negatively charged ions, which are the potassium ions, are in this indicated area here and are represented by the orange dart. Positively charged ions, sodium ions, are represented by the blue darts and are outside of the axon. The positively charged ions are in the myelin sheath, which is outside of the axon. This stage of the neuron is called the resting potential. Let's say that an impulse is represented by this dart right here. It is first received by the dendrites, and once received, the action potential begins.
Once it is in the action potential, the impulse has to cross a threshold. The threshold is being represented by this trigger. If the impulse isn't strong enough to pull the trigger, then nothing will happen. If it is strong enough to pull the trigger, the impulse will go through the axon. This is called the all or none principle. Once the impulse crosses the threshold, depolarization starts. Depolarization is when sodium channels of the axon open up, receiving positively charged sodium ions, making the inside of the axon more positively charged than the outside. Note that this process happens before the impulse crosses that part of the axon. After the impulse has crossed, repolarization will start. This is when potassium channels of the axon open up, allowing the positively charged ions to flow out, making the insides negative and the outsides positive again. Once the impulse has been shot out, the refractory period begins. This is when sodium ions are flowing out of the axon and potassium ions are flowing in the axon, bringing the neuron back to its resting potential.